Welcome to this month's episode of the PA Path. I'm Emma Sellers, Chief Recruitment and Engagement Officer. I'm delighted to have Erika Brooks as our guest. Erika Brooks is the Application Services Manager at PAEA, where she oversees the Central Application Service for Physician Assistants. She also serves as the staff partner to the CASPA Advisory Committee and assists in developing CASPA policies and procedures. Erika has worked in the graduate medical education industry for 12 years and is passionate about improving the user experience and streamlining processes. Erika, thanks so much for joining us today. We are just absolutely looking forward to our conversation and all the information that you have for our audience. Before we get started and you start just giving us all this good information, tell us a little bit about what you do at PAEA and some of the folks you get to work with.
I am the Admission Services Manager here at PAEA. And what that means is I have the pleasure of making sure that our CASPA application works and operates correctly and meets those who are applying to PA school, that it works for and meets their needs as well as meets the needs of our PAEA members who are going to be reviewing their application and making admissions decisions. I also work closely with the PAEA recruitment and engagement team to ensure that those who are in the PA pathway have access to our outreach materials to learn how to successfully apply so that they're educated on the resources that PAEA offers.
It sounds like you do a little bit of everything to benefit our pre-PA students, our students, and I'm sure that feeds over a little bit with their faculty and staff as well. Can you talk a little bit about, and we use this often, we call it the PAEA Admission Suite of Products. Can you talk a little bit about that and even highlight how different audiences might interact with that?
Sure. So the PAEA admissions suite of products is composed of several products. So there's the centralized application service for PAs or CASPA, which is the platform that those who are interested in becoming a PA will use to complete. And it asks various types of information. So your background information, some academic history, where you'll put in, what high school someone went to, the colleges they attended, their coursework. There are several essays that someone will have to fill out. They can put in letters of evaluation or reference letters, work and experience activities, and then the individual programs that applicants are interested in applying to have the ability to collect some very specific information about that applicant as well. We also have our PAEA CASPA program directory. And what's so cool and interesting about this tool is that it's the only resource where PAEA programs can enter in the information themselves. So we collect this information from our member programs annually, and it's updated mid-February. And this is where programs get to highlight all of the cool things about their program. So do they have a virtual reality simulation cadaver where you can go in and play with these types of tools, or do they have a state-of-the-art simulation situation room where you can learn how to diagnose your patients and things like that? So those are our more applicant-facing resources. And then for our PAEA member programs, we have our web admit platform, which is where they will go in and do their admissions actions. We have our analytics by liaison tool, which is a really cool resource that shows applicant and matriculation information in graph form. So deans, provosts, admissions officers want to look at applicant data. It's right there for them. They don't need to run any special types of reports. And then there's some training resources that we host called Liaison Academy.
Erika, you listed a couple of things that I want to open up a little bit more. You mentioned CASPA and then the PAEA program directory. Can you talk a little bit more about how a pre-PA student, a student who's searching to find their best fit, where they might want to pursue their education, how might they interact with the PAEA program directory? In addition to the things you highlighted, what else might they need to go there to find?
So the cool thing about this, or what I think is really helpful, is that it has some filters on it. So I'm from the state of Ohio. I've been fortunate enough to leave Ohio, but I know that there are people who feel comfortable in their home state. So if I only want to find a PA program that's in the state of Ohio, there's a filter. And so I can filter by PA programs in the state of Ohio, and it will show me all of those programs that are there and all of their admissions requirements, their GPA, if they require standardized test scores, their tuition, which is really important because we know college education is not cheap and advanced degrees are not cheap. So this will give me some idea into what I will need to finance it. And I can look at that information and then look at the things that are important to me. Do I want to live in a big city, or do I want to live in the suburbs, or do I want to live in a rural type of community? You can see those things on our program directory. You can also look at our program's mission statement, and depending on how long you've been on the pre-PA journey or the PA pathway, you may have heard us say something about a mission fit or a mission match. And that's where you, as an applicant or someone who's pursuing a career in PA, you have to look at yourself and say, what are my personal values? What's my personal mission? And does this PA program, does their mission align with the things that I want to do in life and the type of healthcare provider that I'm going to be, to help you decide which programs to apply to? The beautiful thing about the program director is you can also filter by GPA. We know that traditionally the PA profession has been for career changers. And so I started somewhere, was like, I missed my calling to go into the health profession. Let me go back to school. So there are quite a few PA programs that do not require a GPA. So if you did not have a super strong undergraduate career, you can filter by a PA program that does not require a GPA, and you can start your PA research at those types of programs. And if you know you're not a strong test taker, you can filter by programs that do not require a standardized test score, so that you're really playing to what your strengths and your weaknesses are and aligning yourself to the mission of those PA programs. Frequently, when I'm engaging with pre-PA applicants who are just starting on this pathway, is to cast a wide net and then narrow it down to the programs that you think you will succeed at and you can flourish. Because the idea is not only for you to get into PA school, it's for you to get in, be a successful student, pass your certifying exam, and become a great healthcare professional. So you want to make sure that where you apply, where you end up going to school, is aligned with your values also.
Thank you for that. And as we internally, as at the association, are constantly looking at the program offerings expanding, or upwards of 300 now, this sounds like a wonderful kind of one-stop shop for folks to really do some of that initial filtering. To your point, just filtering of various things to really be able to focus and then navigate some of these other products that we offer. And you already started talking about this a little bit. Some folks come into the PA pathway as a second career. Some folks might come right out of undergrad after they get some other prerequisites or things under their belt. When you think through what you're seeing in the last couple of years, what is the PA pathway right now from your perspective that you're seeing across our programs?
Very interesting. This is one of my favorite conversations to have with those who are considering the PA profession. And they're like, what do I need to do to go there? And I'm like, the beautiful thing about this profession is your journey is your own. And I refer to it as the kids' game of chutes and ladders. It's not linear. It's not complete steps 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to apply to PA school and become a PA. As you mentioned, we have so many new PA programs developing. So you may start on your path of PA schools and be like, I'm aligned with this, but then something happens to you personally and it shifts your view. And the programs that you thought that you were aligned with, you're no longer in line with. So you have to slide back down to start your research for programs over, or you have a life move and you're like, I can't stay in where I was trying to apply to PA school, so I need to go look at different schools in another state. Or some things are very attractive about other programs that were not to you before. And then also, as you start your research and you're looking that some requirements may have changed, different state programs have different things. There are some states for public institutions that require a GRE, and you may not have known that. Now, I can't go to any public schools in this state, so I'm sliding back down. Or what I thought would count towards my direct patient care hours no longer count, but they may not count for this program, but they count for this program, which was my number 2 program, and now it's moved up to my number 1. So it's always a lot of shifting and moving and navigating through the PA pathway. And another thing that I like to stress and express is that this is a very competitive field. And just because you do not get into PA school the first time does not mean that your journey is over. It is a time for you to regroup and reflect. And it doesn't mean that you are any less qualified to be a PA healthcare provider. Sometimes it's just finding out how to align yourself more effectively with the programs that you're applying to and having a conversation with programs about why you did not get into their program and how you can strengthen your application to those programs.
No, thanks for that, Erica, and really highlighting how competitive the PA profession is and acceptance into schools. And while we say we have 300 plus programs, that feels like a lot, but we have thousands of applicants every year. And so, to your point, it may just be a matter of timing that you may need to pick up a course or two or a few hours someplace, or your number one choice may be full right now, but none of it is an end. There's definitely many ways to get in and that you should continue along the path to becoming a PA. So when you think through, you've been doing this work for a number of years now. When you think through the past few years, programs have made many changes to their admission process for a variety of reasons to ensure some access there, to become more efficient across the board. What are some challenges that you might have seen that students are experiencing, or some good things that students are experiencing as a result of the changes in the admission process that you've seen over the past few years?
I think from a positive standpoint, and the things that I've heard that the pre-PA students really enjoy is the virtual offerings, because they can do virtual campus visits that can have more touch points with the PA programs that they're interested in applying to, which helps shape their decision. Should I apply to this program? Should I give it reconsideration? Should I really spend my money on traveling out of state to go to a campus visit? So they really enjoy the virtual perspective of things. In conversation, what I also like to reiterate is, because you are virtual does not mean that you should be very relaxed and super comfortable. This is still your chance to make a first impression on a program. So even though it's a virtual tour, your camera should be on unless specified that this is a cameras off event, and you want to remain engaged in that you are professionally and appropriately dressed for the occasion to make sure you are casting your best impression on the admissions personnel that you're going to be interacting with. Sometimes people are interacting with pre-PA students, and at the end of these sessions, sometimes feedback is solicited from the students and say, hey, could you be in class with so, and all of the behaviors, positive and negative, that may be implemented during that virtual session that you've had will be discussed, and it may impact your impression on that program.
Very good information for pre-PA students that virtual does not mean less than, relax, different. It's still just as professional, just as important, just as impactful in your decision, as well as the admissions team, as well as the school's decision. So we shouldn't take it lightly. And I know that over the past few years, we have started across the board, we started leaning more into virtual spaces, and we want to ensure that people don't misinterpret that to mean that something is not as serious or important as if you were in person there. So, Erica, as we wrap up and come to a close of our conversation, you gave some really good advice. I love the professionalism piece that you just started with. If you could leave the audience, if we have pre-PA students, PA students, faculty, staff, and other folks in the audience, a couple of words of advice you might have for one of those groups.
This is a really good question, and I have so many nuggets, and you've asked for one, so I will try to dwindle it down. My nugget for students who are on the pre-PA applicant journey is to really research your prerequisite requirements and to make sure that you have everything in a row, ready to go. Your ducks are lined up. And if you're not sure about the requirements, to professionally reach out to those programs. It is not cheap to apply to PA school. So you want to make sure that you are spending your money wisely, especially if you have to apply for multiple cycles. I know you asked for one, and I'm going to say another since we're talking about cost, is that PAEA does offer a fee assistance award to our applicants because we understand that the cost of applying to PA school should not prohibit you from following your dream. And so we do have this award, and I encourage everyone to apply for it because the worst thing that we can do is tell you no, and you can access the fee waiver application inside of the CASPA application.
Thank you so much for adding that one. That's a huge piece of advice that we want folks to remember. So, Erica, thank you so much for your time. And I know that it's hard to condense all of what you do and all that you're able to assist folks with into this podcast. But we hope that our students particularly will reach out and look at the PAEA program directory, especially if there's questions for CASPA. There's different ways to get in touch with someone. So, again, just thank you so much for your service to the association and to our students. And thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Emma. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
We appreciate Erica for joining us, and thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the PA Path. Before we go, I'd like to highlight the PAEA resource of the episode, the CASPA End of Cycle Reports. These reports are released annually after the application cycle closes in April. The reports provide applicant and matriculant data via cycle-to-cycle comparison reports. Join us each month as we speak with leaders in our profession, both nationally and worldwide.